When Jesus came, he preached one primary message: repent, for the kingdom of heaven is at hand. Repent, for the kingdom of heaven is at hand. Repent means you have to recognize you've done something wrong, right? Repent means you need to recognize that you are not perfect. Repent means to recognize that you don't. Just because I was born in a Christian family doesn't make me a Christian. Okay? What is it we used to say? Just because you're sitting in the garage, that doesn't make you a car. You can sit there and vroom, vroom, vroom all you want, but you're not the car, right? There is a place where each person must repent and must come to God. In the day of Yeshua, there were political leaders who had taken over the temple. The teachings, they would read the Torah and then explain how to get around it, or make it so black and white and so difficult the average person couldn't do it. And then they would judge the person because they couldn't live up to it. It's kind of like people being mad at someone who's homeless because they're not clean. How does a homeless person take a bath or a shower, right? It's not that easy. And yet there are people that judge based on that sort of thing. Jesus came and he said, repent. The leadership, notice I'm not saying the average person, but the leadership was not willing to repent. Jesus had a lot of followers who were Jews, and they were good Jews, and they stayed Jews. They continued in the service of the temple in the book of Acts. They continued going to synagogues and sharing the story of Messiah, who is a Jewish Messiah. They continued in the faith of their fathers with this understanding: I am responsible for my sin. I must repent. Repent, the kingdom of heaven is at hand. God isn't going to forgive me just because I was born a Jew. I have to serve God myself. My father was a Baptist preacher. I'm not a believer just because my father was a Baptist preacher. I'm a believer because God has proved himself to me over and over and over and over again, beyond what my father taught. The people of Jesus' day were not willing. The leadership was not willing to admit that they needed to change. They needed to repent. They were afraid that this preacher was gathering too big of a crowd. Rome was going to get upset and was going to come through and take away their authority. That's what they were upset by. They were going to lose their position and their power. I love the fact that when Moses comes down from the mountain and he tells the people, God said to bring offerings. If you have a willing heart and you have it, these are the things we need. Bring them. Moses didn't provide it all. Right? Bezalel and Oholiab were the ones that were over the construction. They guided it. It wasn't Moses. It wasn't Aaron. It wasn't a one-person show. The responsibility was shared. Everyone took part. In the days of Yeshua, the high priest, the Levites in the temple were mostly Sadducees by faith. The Sadducees and Pharisees were different sects or different beliefs within Judaism, okay? And then there was the Essenes, and there were 2 or 3 other groups, by the way, that we don't have recorded here. We know about the Sadducees and the Pharisees because they're recorded here. The Sadducees didn't believe in heaven in the afterlife. They didn't believe in the angels and the angelic beings. They did not believe in resurrection. The high priest, the men who were legally over the stuff that happened in the temple, didn't believe in the angels. They didn't believe in resurrection. They believed that there was coming a Messiah who was going to conquer the enemy and set up a kingdom. And but we've had so many try and it doesn't work. And this guy's not talking that. This guy's not talking war. This guy is saying repent. This guy's saying feed the poor. This guy's saying heal the lepers. This guy's saying to do things that, are you kidding? Why should I lower myself to that? This guy's going to cost us everything. We have to take him out. Better that he should die than that the Romans come in and wipe us all out, is what they said. And the beautiful thing is that he gave way to that death. He let himself be crucified. You've got to understand that. He let himself go through that death. He put together the Passover Seder to teach his disciples. Now, there'll be arguments over whether it was a real Seder or whatever, but because technically he died at the time of the slaughtering of the lambs, okay? So how could they have had the Seder the night before, right? But there was a tradition and there was a way of doing it where a rabbi would have a Seder with his disciples, then would send them home to have their Seders at home. So they knew how he wanted it done. They would go and do likewise, right? So he does a Seder dinner with his disciples. He says it's the Passover. So it specifies this is what he's doing. And he shows them all of the elements of it. And he says, this is my body, this is my blood. And when we do Passover, I will explain what each of those represents. Each of those is a picture of. There are 4 cups at Passover. Which cup? The cup after supper. Each cup has a meaning. Each cup has a name. There's 4 different times you eat the bread or the matzah. Which time is he doing what? We have that all outlined and we put it all together in our Seder. But here all of these men who don't believe in the angelic, don't believe in life after death, have to deal with the fact that they killed someone who 3 days later is walking around Jerusalem. Who the guards say, an angel came and rolled the stone away. And they're going, we don't believe in angels. You got to lie. You got to say you fell asleep. Jesus proved them wrong. And I love that. I love that. He came and the average people followed him. The fishermen, tax collectors, average people, carpenters. It wasn't the elite, although there were some of the elite who did follow him. He brought everyone in at equal footing. When Moses came and said, bring your offerings, everyone brought. And when everyone brings what they have, what they are good at, what God moves them to bring and do, you can build a big house. God took a bunch of nobodies. And after the resurrection, those nobodies went all over the world. And we are told in the book of Acts that it is said they were turning the world upside down. That was a charge made against them in Ephesus, a legal charge. They're turning the world upside down with their teachings. That's exactly what Jesus came to do, turn the world upside down. And he will turn our lives upside down, too. We just got to let him do it. There's a lot more I could say, but we are so out of time. And that food back there is smelling so good. So let's Let's conclude our service with the blessing. I want to challenge each of you to ask God, what part of my life needs to be turned upside down? What part of my life, what do you want me to bring to give to your tabernacle, to your building? What do you want me to do? How do I serve you? And let God tell you, because he will. And when he does, do it. Follow him. Believe.